Gayatri Mahamantra. Om Bhurabhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Deva Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Shri Guruve Namaha. Vyasarupena Vahayami Sthapayami Dhyayami Pujayami Tato Namaskaram Karumi. We begin with the next chapter of Vibhuti Yoga in Shrimed Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 10. The capacities, capabilities, the excellence of the Almighty. There can be many terms that can be assigned to explain Vibhuti. Now, what was the purpose of bringing in this particular chapter? Before that, Master of all times, Adiguru Muni Ved Vyas, under the inspirational intuit of Krishna. As I can gather out of my understanding and with the references of the great masters who have interpreted upon Bhagavad Gita, the purpose of bringing in this chapter in Shrimad Bhagavad Gita was to motivate the timeless Arjuna to now begin to interiorize. From here onwards, the devotion has an ushering into Bhagavad Gita. The bhakti, the devotion. And to enable Arjuna interiorize, turn inward, they are taking him outward and recall before him anything and everything which falls under the category of the most exalted. You can term it as excellence of the highest order. Be it something from the nature like a river, a mountain, a tree, or a mantra, an observation, you call it. The best of the best under the comprehension of the human is now being assigned as, it's my own expression, it's my own manifestation. My here is Keshava. Wherever you see anything which has the excellence of the highest order, the most exalted, you find it as my manifestation. So wherever Arjuna would try to glance, especially under the spell to watch the exalted, he has to understand that it is nothing else but the manifestation of Krishna. By associating one's understanding towards anything and everything, the tallest or the shortest or the broadest, the highest, the most loved one, wherever, as Krishna and Krishna alone and nothing except Krishna, at one point of time is going to inspire Arjuna to look inward. Why? If anything and everything that falls outside, other than me, myself, if all that is an expression of Krishna, then how am I oblivion to a fact that Krishna is very much there within me itself? An infinitesimal portion of the Almighty equally pervades within me as Jivatma. There is a tiny God sitting, it's there, beseated in the deepest cavity of the heart of each and every human, each and every being. So if that be so, then why don't I go inward After acknowledging that it manifests everywhere, so in order to interiorize Arjuna, I believe this is a strategy to take him first outward, bring before his notices through repetitiveness, repetition. See, fine, wherever you see something of magnanimity, magnificent, it's nothing but it's my own expression. I express through it everything in me and myself into everything else. So that may bring Arjuna inward. If it is all over, everywhere, then why don't I try to search it inward? Why don't I give a serious concern to my own inner cavity of the heart, where the exalted ones have already promised and established that if it is not here, then it is nowhere. So in a way, I find Vibhuti yoga. Remember the word yoga. It's not only Vibhuti, it is yoga. Yoga should always be understood as an enjoyment of from a little stature to that infinite, to that almighty, ultimate. So that enjoyment is yoga. From individual consciousness to that higher consciousness. I have deployed this word as individual consciousness, although it is quite outward and mundane, yet I've involved this word so that we can understand the meaning and purpose of yoga. Wherever the word yoga is used, it means to enjoin something smaller to the most exalted one. So Vibhuti yoga, making mentions of all exalted things, situations, emotions, places in nature, and along with that, even mantra, the way of contemplation, anything and everything. Wherever there is an exalted state, that is me, myself. So through the strategy of Vibhuti, everything has been deployed for the purpose in service to yoga, so that we evolve and get entangled with the higher stature. In other words, Vibhuti yoga is a very divine connivance in order to make the seeker observe its presence as all pervasive. Generally, the Almighty is confined either to the sacred books, few sacred places, altar at our home, or at certain religious places which we term as places of pilgrimage, or religious people. But here, through this Vibhuti yoga, all boundaries and barriers shall be shattered. In a way, it's not only confined to places of worship, pilgrimage, religious people, mantra. No, it's even beyond that. Anything holding magnanimity for which you have an awe within yourself to be with, to watch, to sight it, source of inspiration. That's me, Arjuna, manifested there. So in a way, in order to make a being who is otherwise confined when it comes for the divine presence to certain symbols, places, people, etc., to shatter all that and find it as all pervasive. On one hand, as I said, it is also to be considered as a strategy to turn inward by going outward. At the same time, it is also to facilitate one understand the all pervasiveness of the divine, of that ultimate, which otherwise is belittled or confined to few places, few people, few mantra of observation. Remove all that. Wherever you find the highest form of excellence, it is there. So Vibhuti yoga is there to facilitate the expansiveness of the existence of that Almighty, which is all pervasive, omniscient, omnipresent. So, in a way, this is the strategy of the timeless master Adi Guru Muni Ved Vyas to take Arjuna beyond for the purpose of devotion. Devotion means what? Blindfoldedness? No, 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 no. Devotion means a movement, a state of mind within, where you have well verified, well examined through all your critical aspects, appraisals about the veracity of any fact. And now you have concluded that I am left with no doubt, no reason and rhyme is there left in me, which can hold any kind of skepticism, no iota of doubt left now. I surrender, I accept. That is devotion. And this particular chapter marks as the first rung of the ladder towards devotion, that is bhakti. Surrender everything within you, your critical mind, doubt-prone mind, unstable mind, now settle it. Settle it by finding through all those things that you hold as prominent in your life, prominent outward as its manifestation and nothing else, it and it alone. Besides that, a seeker also finds an opportunity by studying this particular chapter of Vibhuti Yoga that I have been inquisitive all through. I have been born with unsettled form of understanding. If all these things around me, if they owe their existence to something which is beyond, something of higher magnanimity, then there is a need before me to raise the level of my doubts, my questions to a higher level. Instead of exploring now through doubts and questions of a smaller stature, I should have the doubts and questions within me of a higher stature. This particular chapter of yoga is not going to ask you to surrender all your doubts, but to take your doubts and your questions, your inner probe, to a higher level, to a next level, where like a mature seeker, you seek through elated questions that also elated ones. Ask questions which do not pertain to the smaller aspects. Something which proves that now you have grown, you have evolved inside. And from here onward, a new wave of understanding shall usher into the study of Shrimed Bhagavad Gita. An absolutely new wave is going to usher now, wherein we will not only find devotion gathering more ground so that it can absorb that esoteric understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Critical mind has got an ability to check at the forefront any incoming information. But at the same time, when critical mind surrenders after its initial verification, it paves way for the true knowledge to permeate, to pervade into your understanding. So after this particular chapter, or from here onward, I can say, an esoteric understanding will start coming inward. We shall not only be able to observe something which is immutable in the chapters to come, from 11th onwards, more specifically, after chapter number 11, that is 12th onwards till 18, certain immutable observations of the timeless master shall come before our notices, which cannot be mutated. Something that common people understand as Murphy's law, beyond any mutation, and especially pertaining to the dimension of human, let me borrow the word psychology, Let me borrow that word. Although it is individuality, but yet I have no hesitation to borrow this word as human psychology. Yes, certain immutable principles and observation will also be unraveled before the seeker. Till chapter number 9, half of the Gita, Bhagavad Gita curriculum is over. Now, with the remaining 9, as I said, we are going to now cross a threshold towards a new dimension, a new ushering. So, gear up yourself, and I do not promise, but I shall try. I shall try to encompass and make arrangements that soon after this particular class, we start organizing a Zoom session immediately after this, not today, but in the coming future, so that we can take certain serious questions of the students which otherwise are not possible through this kind of a monologue. We will have a dialogue with the seekers in English. So that will probably start soon. Soon after the Bhagavad Gita deliberation, we will have a Zoom session, the link for which shall be forwarded to all the interested ones who are a part of Brahm Muhurat Dhyan monitoring program. So it was just a mention of an introduction of the chapter today. More shall come through the verses in the coming classes. Till then, Om ही सत्य है, Om ही सत्य है, Om ही सत्य है.